Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason, back on the Delmar Loop in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm actually technically in University City, but I'll be going into the St. Louis city limits. So I'm doing another stroll through series, this time on the Loop Trolley. Now, it is an operation, but only on the weekends, and as of right now, in mid-2024, people can ride for free. Yes, free. And I'll give you a little history on that. Now, there are 10 stations where you can get on and off the trolley, and today it is not an operation, but I thought I'd come check it out anyway. All these markers, I tell a little bit of history. Some aren't always like that, but I'll let you know which ones are which. So the Loop Trolley was to help revitalize St. Louis as well as Delmar Loop, which a lot of businesses are owned by the innovator and creator, Joe Edwards, or the unofficial mayor. And Joe Edwards, he brought it up at a St. Louis council meeting in the late 90s, and the room went silent. But it took several years for it to make it happen. Now, the Loop Trolley finally got off the ground in the mid-2010s, and since that time, it's been the center of controversy even today. Like, some say it's a waste of tax money, some say, you know, it killed a lot of businesses here on the Delmar Loop, and a lot of other reasons as well. But one thing that's worth looking at is the history, because St. Louis had a lot of streetcars during its heyday, when it had a lot of people living there, like 500,000. Before the Loop Trolley, during the 1960s, that was the last streetcar / trolley that ran through the city. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look and start right here in U City, right in front of the library. And again, this is the Delmar Loop, named one of the 10 best streets in America. There's a lot of mom and pop businesses, restaurants. Okay, so why is this called the Delmar Loop? Well, it got its name from the original streetcar system that looped through University City. Traveling westbound, streetcars would divert north from Delmar Boulevard to Enright Avenue, and then turn south from Kingsland to complete the terminal loop before returning eastbound to downtown St. Louis. The Loop has been an important part of University City's history. Today, the Loop Trolley honors St. Louis's streetcar past with its own terminal station stop at the University City Library. So here's one of those machines. The entire track is 2.2 miles. It connects to 2 Metrolink stations. So yes, hours of operation, like right now this is August 2024, so if I would have been here on a Thursday through Sunday right now, I would have rode for free. I would have been hearing the clang, clang, clang. That's where I am, that's where I'll be going. City limit between U City and St. Louis, the pageant, Delmar Loop Metrolink, Hamilton Avenue. Then it's going to take an L, a backwards L, and then we're going to end up at the Missouri History Museum. And that's just the code of conduct, like no smoking, no loud music, food and drink in closed containers only, no litter, all that jazz. And this is the track right here, and it ends right there. So what I'm going to do is take you to the next station. Shouldn't be too far. And while you're on the Delmar Loop, be sure to check out the St. Louis Walk of Fame. That was Rogers Hornsby, a legendary St. Louis Cardinal. I've been asked to do an episode on this in the past, and honestly I don't know how to do it because there are more than 150 stars and people on this way, so it's going to be really tough to do such an episode, but I can do it. I just don't know how and when. And so a little history about the trolley. It first opened in November 2018, and then it did regular rides until December 2019 when it was decided to shut it down. But it was taken over by the Bi-State Development Agency, which composed of appointed leaders from Missouri and Illinois side. I want to go over there real quick. That is the Leland-bound eastbound stop right there. But to this day, the Bi-State Development Agency is still in charge of it up until 2025, but we'll see what happens after that time. So there is Vintage Vinyl, one of the best record stores in St. Louis, and here is the Leland westbound stop, and on the back of it, a little brief history. Trolleys, cars, and carriages, oh my. In an ever-changing world, it's always interesting to see how trends and transpiration come full circle. In this picture from 1923, you can see an example of 3 different types of streetcars. The 1157 streetcar is preparing to make its loop back onto Delmar Boulevard while private automobiles and a horse-drawn carriage bring up the rear. And then that's something from 1949. The Loop Trolley brings a new focus to transit. Why drive when you can ride? All right, I'm going to go over there real quick. So here's the one on the eastbound. Named one of the 10 great streets in America, the Delmar Loop is home to an eclectic mix of restaurants, shops, and entertainment venues. As early as 1902, the Delmar streetcar system sparked residential and commercial development. As the oldest surviving example of architecture in the Delmar Loop, the Bond building at 6640 Delmar Boulevard was built in 1910 to house Max Bond's tailor business. Over the years, it's been home to many businesses, including a pharmacy, beauty salon, and for the past 50 years, it's been home to the nonprofit Craft Alliance Center for Art and Design. Now we're going to move on to the City Limit station, which is just right up ahead. And by the way, this record store used to be a movie theater back in the day. Or a theater, I guess, one of the two. This is the world famous Blueberry Hill. This has nothing to do with the trolley, but this was the institution that put the Delmar Loop on the map. It's been going on for 52 years now. Joe Edwards and his wife at the time, Linda, founded this place in 1972. I've seen Chuck Berry a few times here, as well as a few other bands. But they got really good food here. Come check it out. Okay, this is where St. Louis City and St. Louis County, the boundary is. And so they decided to put a station for that here. This one kind of reads more like an advertisement, but I'll just go ahead and read it anyway. Name for the street, visit the Loop. Named for the streetcar system that looped at the west end of Delmar Boulevard, the Delmar Loop is home to more than 250 restaurants, shops, small businesses, and entertainment venues. With 7 station stops on Delmar Boulevard, you'll always be close to your destination. Perfect for nights out with friends or a day trip with a family. You can count on there being plenty to do in the Delmar Loop. Be sure to go to visittheloop.com. And then right there is the Peacock Loop Diner, and I'm going to go to that marker as well. Now this one has a little bit of historical information. City Limit westbound. From humble beginnings, a world-class street is born. With the introduction of streetcars at the turn of the 20th century, outlying areas of the city of St. Louis drew the attention of investors and developers plotting out the prairie land. In this picture, you can see the original Delmar streetcar line in the foreground, laid directly into a dirt road. Workers are preparing to update Skinker and Delmar for improved access in anticipation for a population boom. I find it very weird that, yes, the Delmar Loop looked like this at one time. I know, it's crazy to even think that. 1902. And then over here, 1906. Yep, up and coming. St. Louis will be expanding westbound. Alright, so now I am here in front of the pageant. We'll cross the street from it. Been there many times, seen so many shows in the last 20-some years. Violent Femmes, I've seen the Bangles, not just age groups, but I've also seen Girl Talk, many others. Girl Talk is a DJ, in case you were wondering. And that is a brand new mini golf palace. I need to go there sometime. It opened earlier this year. That was another vision. That was another one of Joe Edwards' creations. But unfortunately, down here, there's a lot of empty storefronts. I remember one time there was the Baked Bear. No, Mr. Good Sense, that's a place I haven't been to in years. I hope to come here sometime and eat some subs. And then here's a marker for the pageant eastbound. The Delmar Loop celebrates St. Louis' best and brightest stars. Today, more than 150 brass stars cover Delmar Loop sidewalks, each celebrating the history of local stars such as John Goodman, Maya Angelou, Josephine Baker, James Cool Papa Bell, Nellie, and Ozzie the Wizard Smith. Yeah, check out the full guide. That's John Goodman. His, I believe, is in front of Blueberry Hill. Chuck Berry, he was, I believe, the first inductee onto that St. Louis Walk of Fame. And then Nellie, yeah, ignore what happened to his teeth. And then Josephine Baker. Across the street, I'm gonna go check out that marker over there. And then over here, tells a little bit of history. Movies and music in the Delmar Loop. From its earliest days, the Delmar Loop was proclaimed for its amazing entertainment. The highly regarded Tivoli Theater focuses on independent films, fan favorites, and spirited midnight specials like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Doors opened in 1924 as a live performance venue. The Delmar Hall and the pageant now host national acts year-round. Throughout the Loop, in restaurants, coffee shops, and even on sidewalks, visitors will often hear local singers and musicians practicing their craft. Yeah, I mean, every now and then, I've been to the Delmar Loop many times. I mean, there's a guy playing drums, there's a guy playing a saxophone after the shows, or you'll just hear somebody randomly yelling, I don't know. And then over there is Delmar Hall. I've only been there a couple times, but it's a nice place. It's like the half the size version of its sister, the pageant. And then that's the Everly Apartments. That's been there for a few years now. And this is kind of where somewhat the whole spark of the Delmar Loop ends. Like, you'll see less businesses as you go eastbound into the city. I'm actually looking westbound into the Delmar Loop, and now I'm at the Metrolink Station 1, which connects Delmar Loop to the Metrolink, the red line. And that building right there goes back to 1928, cost the city $300,000. And yes, it actually was a railway station for the Norfolk and Western Railroad, and I think for a couple other major railroads at the time. It took you to Omaha and Kansas City, and of course into downtown St. Louis. But that station closed in 1970. It has not been in use for 54 years. Wow. But the Metrolink station is literally right behind it, and underneath where I'm standing is, you know, the tracks for the Metrolink, you know, that bridge. Here's the marker right here. All aboard. The 1928 Wabash Station was once served by the Delmar and City Limit streetcar lines, buses, and the Wabash Railroad's intercity and commuter trains. When St. Louis decommissioned its Delmar streetcar number 10 in 1964, service ended on what is now the Loop Trolley route. Memories of the last day of the Hodea-Mont streetcar operation, which is 3 blocks north of here, in 1966, are vivid for many St. Louisans. They recall the days when streetcars were king in this wonderful city. Today, the Loop Trolley picks up the mantle of that service for a new generation of riders. At this important transit junction, the Loop Trolley is bringing a new way to ride to complement Metro's modern light rail trains and buses. And this is where both lines intersect, like they're in the middle of the boulevard. So what I'm going to do now is take you to Hamilton, and we're getting close to DeBaliviere. Now here's the intersection of Delmar and Hamilton Boulevard, and the station is just right in the median right there. There's no historical information on this panel or the one on the other side, but it is worth noting that it is in front of the Loop Trolley station, just in case they want to change drivers. See that track right there? It goes right into the building and all that. Now this used to be a high school from what I heard. And I like how the letters all light up, you know, left to right, left to right. All right, now we're gonna go to where it turns right onto DeBaliviere. Follow me. All right, so now I'm at the part where they call the knuckle, where it's kind of shaped like a knuckle like this, you know what I'm saying? But let me just go ahead and read the marker and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so that is Delmar, it's west, east, and then this is DeBaliviere, and the rest of the time in this video we're gonna be on DeBaliviere, or DeBaliviere, I've heard it said both ways. Called the knuckle of the Loop Trolley system, the intersection of Delmar and DeBaliviere is a crucial connector to the neighborhoods and businesses in the community today. This area and others along the 2.2-mile route are the focus of transit-oriented development, including plans for pedestrian-focused amenities in the community. In the earliest days of the streetcar system, the adjacent power buildings supplied electricity for the streetcar lines. With a new Loop Trolley making stops again, perhaps this historic building will be put to use once again. And I'm pretty sure they're talking about this one, which looks a little dilapidated. I mean, look at the broken glass there. Looks pretty nice. I mean, especially for an old building, but gee. But one can only hope. All right, now we're gonna go down to the next stop. We are now at the Crossroads College Preparatory School stop. And as you can see, not much going on there. That big building you see is the Winter Garden apartment building. Take a ride, stroll, or bike on the DeBaliviere Strip. In its heyday, DeBaliviere was home to several famous people and hotspots. Many St. Louisans recall their first skating lessons at the Winter Garden Indoor Ice House, dinner at Garavelli's or in Sorrento's. Others frequented the DeBaliviere Strip, known for its collection of burlesque houses. DeBaliviere was also home to the Apollo Theater, the Mural Room, and the Holy Barbarian, which was the first music venue in St. Louis to feature an integrated band of musicians. This stretch is also home to Great Rivers Greenway's St. Vincent Greenway, a bicycle and pedestrian path connecting Forest Park to the south with Ruth Porter Mall Park to the north. There's some old retro pictures for you. Very interesting stuff. Now they have redeveloped some of the old buildings, and by the way, not the track, but the this is the greenway they're talking about that takes you all the way to the Missouri History Museum in Forest Park. So only 2 more stops left. Join me. So looking straight ahead, far back there is the Missouri History Museum, and there's the Metrolink station right there. And then one of the last markers, clang, 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 goes the trolley. This station serves as a connector on the Loop Trolley system, taking passengers directly over the Metrolink light rail system. Here at Forest Park in DeBaliviere, visitors can connect to both the red and blue line trains, traveling as far as east as Sky Air Force Base in Shiloh, Illinois, or west to Lambert International Airport in Shrewsbury, Missouri. Now there will also be an extension towards the airport in Mascoutah, but that's another story. At the time of the 1904 World's Fair, this area was a popular arrival point for tourists, leading directly to the main entrance. The Smith family, forever memorialized in MGM's 1944 movie musical Meet Me in St. Louis, would have passed this junction on their way to the fairgrounds from their home at 5135 Kensington Avenue. Interesting stuff. All right, on my way to Forest Park. Here we go. This here is Delmar Boulevard, and then right in front is the Missouri History Museum. But the marker is in the back. I'll just go ahead and take you there. Here we are, a home stretch behind the museum. And now for the last marker. Meet me in St. Louis. Since the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis, Forest Park has been a St. Louis treasure and top tourist destination. Known as the crown jewel of the Midwest, 13 million people visit the 1,300-acre park each year. The park includes 170 acres of nature reserves, 30 miles of trails, the St. Louis Zoo, the Art Museum, the Science Center, and the Muni. In 1904, World's Fair visitors could pay 10 cents to ride a 7-mile electric streetcar system around the fairgrounds. In a grand return to days of old, the Loop Trolley carries passengers right into the park, mere steps from the Missouri History Museum's Jefferson Memorial Building. The museum opened in 1913 using proceeds from the fair, and is now home to a collection of St. Louis resident past and present. Yep, 2.2. There you have it. So one of these days I will get around to riding the trolley when it's available on the weekends. So I'm definitely going to have to keep the schedule open for that. And if you guys have ridden the trolley before, how was it? Was it convenient? I mean, was it worth, you know, the experience? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. All right, I am Jason in Forest Park, St. Louis. Sign off.